people, developers in India were building products for India, not for the world, right? And now with Polygon, that is changing. People are actually inspired by the Polygon. I've seen a lot of messages from everywhere. Whenever I go on the Indian meetup, they say, okay, we are inspired and we want to do something as well. So I realized that now people get that mindset. Okay, we can also build something out of India for the world, which was not the case before.
JD, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Ronit, Gaurav, for having me. Thank you. And yeah, this is a typical Zoom call, right?
It is, yeah, absolutely. It had to happen. So JD, let's start off. A lot of people listening to this are live or on the podcast replay, obviously know who you are, what Polygon is. But for the people who don't know, just give us a brief introduction about who you are, what you do, and if you had to explain your job to your mother or your grandmother, how would you explain it?
Yeah, so first of all, Jaynti Kanani this side, I also go by JD. So if some people call me JD here and there, founder of Polygon, and Polygon specifically scales blockchain, and in that particularly Ethereum, right? So if you think about like multiple blockchains in the wild, Bitcoin, Ethereum, multiple others, they are very, very slow. And we started only one goal in mind: to scale that, make it cheaper for people, retails, developers, easy to use for them. And that's what we do. Like, we kind of create a layer on top of Ethereum blockchain, make it faster, cheaper, easy to use for developers, right? And I'm just giving an example, like for example, Starbucks and Meta, Instagram, they recently launched NFTs on the platforms, and those NFTs are on Polygon. So for example, for normal people, if they are using Starbucks, loyalty program or Instagram collectibles, they might not know like what they're using, but they are internally using the Polygon. That's a main goal of Polygon itself. And if again, like if I want to explain it to my parents, I'm not sure. Like I haven't tried to explain to them, but I always.
What do your parents think you do?
They think like I'm in software. I'm a software, some IT guy, right? So
IT guy.
IT, yeah. IT, right? They don't understand the world of startups and investments and all those things. Right. So it's okay. My son is in IT, right? So if someone's son is in IT, someone's daughter is in IT, they just connect me with them and say, okay, just help them to get a job, right? So that's how they work, right? So if I want to explain like how it works, so I just give the example of Google Pay. I'm not sure if people know here, but Google Pay or PayPal, you could say on banks are like very good example of to explain like how this should work. So banks are very slow in a way, like you cannot kind of do the P2P payment or over the banks in outside India. Like in India, like now, like we have a UPI and everything, but still like before that it was an NEFT, etc., which was very, very slow. So I just explained people to, hey guys, like, we are building the PayPal or Google Pay or Paytm on top of banks, which is faster and cheaper, and people can build their own applications. So for example, if you want to do like kind of, book the bus or train, you can go on the platform and do that, right? And we provide the platform for that. So I think this is like, this might not work for my parents, this explanation, but for normal people, who are like know like what is the bank and the PayPal and everything, they would understand like, oh, okay, this is what it is. And in the blockchain, like I try to explain it to them, like, it's a new money, you can replace the money, and they're like, okay, well, what are you talking about, right? So it's very, very, very difficult. So
I'm looking forward to your explanation of Web3 to them.
Yeah.
We're supposed to go easy on. We're not supposed to give him such a tough time. But you know what? But you know what? To be fair, Ronit, your questions are so universal. JD, you have to answer them.
I can ask these questions, right? So I need someone to help me explain them.
Yeah.
Be honest, is crypto going up or down? They say these questions come up. So, but let's pivot. So let's switch a little bit to talking about the origins of the Matic or Polygon, and then the Matic network, and how did you get into this? Like you were in software, you were in engineering, you were in the startup world in India. How did you end up to where we are today? So you could go back 4 or 5 years and walk us through that journey.
It's a very interesting story, by the way, right? So I was in housing.com as a data scientist. So and again, like I joined housing.com as a front-end developer, right? So I was building UI, right? And then slowly in 2 years, I moved from UI to backend and data scientist in housing.com. And in 2017, it got sold to Prop Tiger in India, and people were kind of thinking about moving out of housing.com or doing something else. And I started applying to multiple companies like Stripe, TransferWise, Flipkart, Amazon, and I got rejected from every single big companies. So I thought, okay, let me do something my own. So I was doing this side project, which is creating a page where you can post theories, like what kind of theories. So at the time, like Game of Thrones was very popular, like 7 or 8, 6 season or something like that. And then people were discussing after each episode, they would discuss, okay, what will happen to this character, or how the story will grow and what will happen, like some funny stories and everything. And if you see Reddit pages and the media pages also kind of articulate or call it all these theories into the pages and do the PRs about that. So I thought, okay, maybe this is interesting. Maybe I can create a page where people can bet money on these theories and then win if they are right. So so I started this page and I wanted to integrate payment. And when I wanted to integrate payment, I realized, okay, I need to register a company to integrate payment, for example, Stripe or other APIs, and they can take like some good percentage of that. And if I'm putting like maybe $1 on the theories, like it's not feasible at all, and I need to kind of think about like how do we make it global. Like no, I want everyone to participate, not just from the India, right? So I thought maybe this is the Bitcoin thing I'm hearing about. Maybe let me look at that and see if I can integrate Bitcoin into my platform. And that's where I jumped into Bitcoin. I read about it, and then I read about Ethereum. And then I ditched my side project at the time. Like, I thought, okay, this is the good space to be in. These are good problems there are. Like, there are cryptocurrencies were going on. People were kind of doing ICOs and raising monies and everything. I thought this is a good space to be in. I can kind of contribute a lot in this space, and I can see this, maybe find some good problem and maybe build something out of that, right? And good part about that was anyone can do this from sitting anywhere in the world. You don't need to kind of take the permissions or do anything else. So I just kind of started my freelancing projects to help people to build Solidity projects. And then I realized, okay, the scaling is a big problem in this space. People started doing implementing or building something, but it is not good. UX wise is bad, and as a developer I thought, okay, no, this scaling solution, no one will use, so maybe I need to create my own and let's see if it works. And that's where Matic was born, right? So it's like very, like,
So it started with Game of Thrones, gaming, internet payments online, trying to fix a broken payment system, and now we're in a multi-billion-dollar blockchain network, which we're going to talk about. But before we get on to more on Polygon, today's a big day. If you're listening to this live or on replay, today's a big day in blockchain world, particularly Ethereum world, because something called the merge happened today. JD, explain why is it significant and what the implications of the merge are, and why we're tens of thousands of people watching this live on YouTube. And I had a friend messaging me from New York at 2 a.m. his time. I was like, dude, what are you doing? It's 2 a.m. Go to bed.
Yeah, uh, so the people who were building on Ethereum or who are building on Ethereum knows like this is a first step of like huge change in Ethereum ecosystem, right? So as everyone know, like Bitcoin and Ethereum using the proof of stake, proof of work mining thing before, and in that people were kind of burning electricity to generate the blocks, verify the blocks, and people were saying, okay, no, we don't want to use NFTs because it's not efficient, and it's a humanity thing. We don't want we don't want games who are using NFTs and all those things. And with proof of stake, with this merge, this proof of work will be gone, and is gone now, already is done, so it's already gone, and it will work purely on proof of stake system. And proof of stake system, it means that you put your money in the system as a participant of the network, and then verify the transactions on the network. And you are not burning electricity, you are putting your own money, skin in the game, in the system, and doing your job, and you get the reward for the same. And that's why like it's very, very, very powerful thing in a blockchain world, because you are now like reducing your electricity energy consumption by a lot. Now it's very cheaper. It's some posted about it is burning less electricity than the PayPal company itself, right? So now like it's very, very much like efficient. And also like now in proof of work, you have some difficulty you need to chase after to create the block, and there is a time is very very much important, like how much time it takes to create the block. Now like now that there is a proof of stake system, you can change those things, you can play around like multiple things, you can introduce sharding going forward, all those things you can do with this merge. So that's why it's very important for Ethereum ecosystem and in blockchain in general.
Before I get Gaurav in to talk about scaling the business and scaling Polygon, I have one last question on what all of this means for Polygon and for Ethereum. So as you said, and you give a nice simple illustration of this is very eco-friendly, moving from proof of work to proof of stake. I think people are saying with 99 point something% reduction in energy. So that's all clear. This is good for the environment, sustainability. But what about scalability, speed, fees, costs of transactions? How does that change in the near future or in the intermediate future? And what does all of that mean for like the Polygon's reason for existing?
Yeah, so people often get confused with the merge and the scalability. It won't increase your TPS. It won't increase your transaction per particular time period, right? It will remain the same. Definitely, you have like now 1 second or 2 second less time to create the block. It might increase like a little bit of TPS, but not like thousands or millions of TPS, right? So that's very that's not possible with this merge at all. In terms of fees, I would expect like it goes a little bit down. Is my theory, but it might not happen because validators are like now taking as a validator how they want to kind of go about the fees itself. But now like we are reducing the consumptions of the energy, like in reality on the theory, like your fees should go down, right? But the problem was that like there were few miners creating the blocks before, and they were burning the electricity with their own monthly bill and everything. Now there are like thousands or 100,000 nodes running creating the block. So they also need to, when they get their turn to create the block, they need to also make sure they take the fees out of the system, which supports them for the longer time. So in reality, the fees might not go down. So for the TPS and the fees are not going away or not going down at all in Ethereum. Definitely in the future, maybe sharding comes.
Yeah,
this might change, but even if the sharding comes, then now like you might have another trade-offs, right? Now like currently you are making a one transaction to do for the one transaction for the Uniswap, the same transaction you are doing for the Aave, multiple DeFi protocol in one transaction. But if sharding comes, then maybe your protocol will be in the different shards. So you're now like making a multiple transactions to do that. So it's in the overall, in the overview, like it's very tricky when sharding comes. And also sharding comes, it won't kind of scale your transactions to the million TPS or something, right? It's still like very, very different scaling mechanism than the layer twos. In terms of layer twos, like they use different technology itself to do that. They rely on the security of the Ethereum. So for them, it's a different thing, like how they would consider a TPS or fees differently than Ethereum itself. So again, like, so in short answer, like no, merge won't make your transaction cheaper or faster.
Got it. I want to bring Gaurav into the conversation because I know he's got lots of questions about use cases for the technology is cool, but what are we going to use it for? And I'm sure he's got lots of questions also on like just building businesses, which he's got lots of experience in both building and investing. So Gaurav, over to you.
Thank you so much, brother. It's a pleasure to have you on. It's very rare that we get to come across people that come here and say, hey, listen, I don't want to fix one problem. I just want to fix the entire infrastructure from a root problem. I don't want to build another car. I just want to rebuild all the highways. Because that's essentially what it sounds like you took forward with your challenge when Matic was born. But just looking from a timeline perspective, how old is Matic now?
So I roughly started this in late 2017, around October 2017. So it's like
almost 5 years.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the interesting thing, right? When you're building a layer from scratch and then you're allowing people to consume it and use it for the benefits of which you reconstructed it in the first place from what you saw as comparable layers out there in the ecosystem. What are you seeing as the main use case that's being adopted in terms of people that are trying to solve traditional problems or people that are trying to create new businesses or ideas? Because the creativity is there, but what are you seeing from your visible point of view?
Yeah, so I see this blockchain use cases in different categories, and each category might have different trade-offs and need to evolve before we reach particular bigger use cases. For example, DeFi, right? So DeFi was on the hype a few months back. People were talking about DeFi is the future, and then what happened is that the liquidity got out of the DeFi, and then the DeFi kind of stuck at some point right now, right? So currently, like people are using DeFi, people are trading on the Uniswap, they are exchanging or putting money in the Aave, borrow borrowing protocols, but are still like, we need to figure out a way to bring more liquidity from non-crypto world to crypto world, first of all, right? And for that, we need to fix like multiple steps. For example, like currently, you guys would know, like currently, like banks are exploring crypto world, but still, like it's still far away than what we think it is, right? So in the end, like I was thinking about, okay, what about the NFTs now? So NFTs also, like people just creating the shitty NFTs or PFP everywhere, but we need to figure out a way to sustainable use case for the NFTs in the future. Maybe some AAA games would come, change this the game of NFTs forever. Maybe exceed the same with the play to one, but still, like we are far away from the this world, right? And then DAO came, and then people realized, okay, shit, like DAO, people want going to kind of contribute to DAO as we expect it to be. Humans are humans, right? They can just they have like limited time, limited mind space, so they cannot just forever put the efforts to maintain the DAO or do the work. So what I feel is that seeing these trends and everything, I feel like gaming would be a good place to start on the blockchain use cases and see like how it will go from here. That is one I'm very bullish on. And the second part I'm thinking about is to like how can we merge the fintech and the crypto a way which basically allows us to fulfill the initial promise which Bitcoin made, right? So Bitcoin was thinking about, okay, how can we move the money from one place to another place better way without kind of hopping through multiple and hoppers into the middle. And I'm seeing some few people are kind of integrating the cryptos with the fintech products, and I feel like this is a good start to explore the blockchain instead of going wild with the DeFi or going wild with the DAO in general. So yeah, so again, like so sorry for being like very like subjective here, but it is what it is. Yeah.
No, it's like asking somebody what's the web being used for, so it is a large question
Yeah.
to be fair. But from your answer, it seems like it's going to be largely financial, looking at gaming and looking at other spaces as well from an infrastructure point of view in terms of actually further developing what already exists in terms of blockchain or crypto environments that you're trying to help will see it run more efficiently, effectively, is what you're seeing on a large scale, right? Large movement.
Yeah.
Now, I know that Polygon, you as like Tezos, you get involved in certain ecosystem projects, you get involved in certain segments as well. Where is Polygon actually as a team or from an investment point of view also focusing? Is it the same three streams, gaming, fintech, and various other movements just on the chain? Where are you spending your time?
So currently, like, a good part about this hype is that we also see people coming to us in a different hype cycles, right? For example, if we are in the DAO hype cycle, we are seeing more projects building something related to DAO, similar to gaming and DeFi, right? So we as a platform don't want to focus on particular one thing or bet on those things. We are open to people, like whatever you want to build on us. We are fine if you're building DAO, DeFi, or NFTs, right? And we don't know like what would work, right? So for example, DeFi was going great, and then something with XC like NFT kind of went on the hype. So we cannot just kind of go, okay guys, like we don't want to do NFTs, we just want to do DeFi. We cannot do that as a platform, right? Consider about AWS or Stripe. They don't care like what kind of applications you build on top of that, and they might or put some efforts where they think, okay, this might go big, but for the developers, they cannot restrict, or they shouldn't restrict on particular use cases. And similar for us on the investment perspective, currently we are much focusing on bringing the big Web2 brands and Web2 gaming into this world, because we feel like they have a distribution with the users, they have everything. Why not kind of we use that distribution to scale blockchain or put them on the blockchain, and that would be the maybe good way to start this whole ecosystem, right? That's why we are putting a lot of efforts on the Starbucks, as you can see, this metaverse and Meta itself and multiple other brands. So that is one like big thing, big focus we have right now. And on the investment side, of course, like we are investing in a lot of games recently, and DeFi as well. So yeah.
And when you provide an infrastructure for people to build on top of, right, you're continually trying to improve the rails yourself, essentially, which is what it is. How big is the team that's constantly working on building out the platform or providing support for people to learn and develop as well? Because you can only expand as much as other people can build, as well as you yourself can refine the infrastructure. So if you can give us some insight into how big Polygon team is right now, and then also how fast you're seeing other people being able to adopt the ability to code and build on top of Matic as well.
So over the 1.5 years, like 1.5 years, like we grow from 40 people to 550.
Whoa.
Right. And yeah.
Is
And
that global
including
or geographically all
global,
in?
global. Yeah. So because we also acquired a few companies, for example, Hermes, Zero. So they also kind of included in this number. And what happened is that when we were 40 people, like if, for example, someone comes to us and say, okay, we want to build on your platform, can you help us? And to be honest, like even us co-founder were in the Telegram group answering their questions.
Wow.
I even coded recently, like in the last, I remember I even coded or give example of Aave governance bridge because they needed some help, so I coded that and gave it to last year, maybe to them, to the
Amazing.
developers, and they get it modified or use that as a reference point, right? So we did kind of supported people a lot. Even now, like we have a big team on the solution engineering integration, which goes out there, for the developers. If there's someone comes to us, like we sit down with them. We give like example. Okay, how you can build these things. For example, Meta, right? Meta wanted to do some bridge, so I was on the call explaining the bridge, right? So we did that a lot, and now like we have a big team. So we have people for the integrations and solutioning engineering doing that. And if we think, okay, this kind of solutions people need more and more, we build that in house. For example, we created the marketplace before, which people are using. We created the bridge for the multi-chain world, where if you see Polygon Technology, you can also see the bridge there. So few things we already built in house, so people don't have to build it. We also created a design system for people who want to build some applications but don't have a designer or UX guy, so you can just use our SDK to build those things. We created the widgets, so people can just integrate directly for the bridge and for the on-ramp, off-ramp, all those sort of things. We kind of started building in house also.
It sounds like you're trying to. I don't know. Have you got a formal academy where people can train and learn these tool sets?
So
SDKs.
Yeah, so we have we have that. We are also working on there is the thing called Polygon Village, where we can kind of ask people to join it. We help them with everything to explain them how it works, help them with the grants and everything. So end-to-end solutioning, right? So
it sounds like you're trying to
yeah.
move towards almost like a no-code platform. I can adopt, I can click, I can do eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a utopian view, of course. That will never happen, but it allows people to experiment more on what they want to bring to the rails, whether it's different application. Because right now, my understanding is there are 37,000 decentralized apps on Polygon itself, right? And that rate should be increasing. And coming back to this, Matic was born in India, technically. I know it's meant to be a global solution, and it is to some degree of what you're talking about. But I'm curious, from the ecosystem in India itself, when it comes to Matic and the metaverse, how are you seeing that adoption in terms of a focal point for talent and development? Is it going to be the place on which there's going to be the biggest hub, or is it spread all across the world evenly? What's the pool of people and developers and adoption in India versus elsewhere, given that it is born in India technically?
Yeah, so I always talk about this in multiple places where I say, India. So until then, like developers in India were building products for India, not for the world, right? And now with Polygon, that is changing. People are actually inspired by the Polygon. I've seen a lot of messages from everywhere. Whenever I go on the Indian meetup, they say, okay, we are inspired and we want to do something as well. So I realized that now people get that mindset. Okay, we can also build something out of India for the world, which was not the case before. So for example, if you wanted to build some fintech product, people were moving to Silicon Valley to build something for US, right? I've seen that, and people have done that. People moved from India, Bangalore to SF to raise money in the past, and now this is not the case. right? So we have seen like people, A16Z, Coinbase Ventures, or Lightspeed, and multiple other entities or investors like investing in India directly, even if the founders are not in the US. And that will basically change multiple things. So now, before, like people, good developers, good builders were going out of India. Now they are staying in India, building for the India and the world. There are, I'm not sure if you know that this a product called Juno. They were in the Sequoia incubation, and they are creating the fintech slash crypto kind of product, and they are out in India building for the US market.
Interesting.
So I'm seeing, so I'm seeing this a lot happening, and obviously India has a good builders, entrepreneurs, and developers. As you can see, like every big company CEO is in Indian. So I'm very confident on, if people don't move out of India and build something out of that, that would concentrate the Web3 ecosystem further more into the Indian territory, if obviously government supports that. So yeah, I mean, I'm seeing good startups coming out of India in Web3 space, but I want more. Definitely, I want more people to build Web3. Few developers are moving, like many developers are moving from Web to big companies like Udan or multiple other big companies to Web3 ecosystem. They want to learn, even if this company is small, they want to join that small startup of the Web3 DeFi or NFTs. They want to learn more and do something. So I feel like that's good for India.
I think there's so many questions I have, but unfortunately time is limited. So I'm gonna pull the last question from the stack that I have and bring it up. We're sitting in Dubai, okay? And every 3 days, there's a major conference, a major event, and there's a major group of people who are here talking about metaverse, NFTs, crypto, blockchain. And there is a movement happening here, right? And it's been happening for a little bit of time. And I wanted your perspective, understanding, we talked about government, you talk about friendly ecosystems, right? A lot of people are moving to this part of the world, and I think a lot of your team is also here, but not Singapore or Bahamas, other places. Give us your viewpoint on what you're seeing and your perspective on this take of this place becoming a major hub for the region as well when it comes to the metaverse, crypto, and blockchain.
Definitely. So Dubai has made it clear that we are supporting crypto. We want to create a sandbox for the crypto companies. So they allow people to do whatever you want to do, but do it in Dubai or in UAE, right? They are also going ahead and giving golden visas to people. So that is a major point for everyone building around the globe on the Web3 space. But particularly for India, it is different. Okay, so here is my view. Okay, so why Indian Web3 startups moving to Dubai instead of Singapore and everywhere? Definitely, Singapore is still strict in a sense that they have like particular policies where they cannot touch, or they first build the policies or legal structure before they allow certain kind of entities. Dubai is other way around. Dubai want more innovations and everything. So that is a huge difference between the Singapore and Dubai. And for Indians, like there's always two choices, right? Either you go to Dubai nearby or Singapore, because 3 hours flight time for their home from their home, right? And India, yeah. And visa of Dubai is very, very easy to get compared to Singapore, right? And third thing is food, right? Indian people loves their food. And Dubai is like 70-80% Indian, restaurant and vegetarian and everything. So I think that for India, like for me, I think those are the reasons.
You heard it here
Jaynti,
first.
just to recap, 3 hours flying from mom, visas, and more than half the population are Desi, so you have very good Indian food.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Listen, if you want, this is what's going out on our podcast. It's official. If you want to get to JD's heart, it's through his stomach. You heard it first. It's food first. Okay. So
like the two of us, right?
yeah.
I
we
even
won't
asked
even
Zomato.
we won't even give the list of foodie places we go to,
Yeah.
Ronit. I think that's the next podcast we do, foodies with Ronit and Gaurav. But in all seriousness, Jaynti, thank you so much for it's been an incredible short period of time to actually move the way you have, to scale the way you have. Hats off to you. Hats off to the team.
Thank you.
You've obviously got a culture around you that supports this, which is international. So best of luck with what you go forward with. I'm curious to see where you are the next time we speak to you. And with that, I'll hand back to my gracious co-host, Ronit, to wrap things up.
Thank you. Just maybe if we can stretch it a couple more minutes, guys, just to
I'm game.
Go beyond. We talked about Dubai, we talked about Polygon, we talked about JD's life a little bit. And if you want to learn more, just Google him. But let's zoom out to I'm not going to ask you to define Web3 for your mother, but let's just zoom out. And how big is the ecosystem today globally? How many Web3 developers are there? How many users are there? Can we put some numbers around it today? And this is the hard bit of the question, or the harder bit. What does it look like in 2025 and 2030?
Ooh, no pressure.
Yeah.
No pressure. All forecasts are wrong. All forecasts are wrong. So we know that. Just to get us thinking as the final part of this conversation before you wrap up.
Definitely. So what I feel is that current numbers on the developers and users are not measured. I don't have a number in my mind, but I would say maybe users would be 2-3 millions, who are actively using DeFi and everything. Maybe there are more people who are holding cryptos. I'm not counting them for now. And for the applications or developers, I would say less than that, right? Or maybe, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe more than that. But what even a grand sense of 8 billion, 7 billion people around the globe, millions is very, very less, or definitely less than 50 million. I would say, even if I'm wrong, far off this number, and this is very, very low in general. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it will be lower than you would expect.
Yeah.
And the reason would be people still figuring out the use cases for the blockchain as we discussed, right? But people are still not sure where we can use blockchain and where it would make much more sense. And even if it's there are some use cases are there, but it's still unusable for people to for the normal people. You can see them some advertises on.
It's complicated, right? Normal people forget their passwords and get locked out of their computers, stuff like that.
Yeah, and people are using same password for everywhere, right? They are, even if you just name a Google, use the password in any website, they will put their Google password there. 100%. Like my father would do that. Like any kind of the non-tech guy would put a simple Google password everywhere. If you just give some hint there. So this is very hard problem, right? And what I would see in the future, maybe not 2025, I'm still not sure if this will get solved that easily. Maybe in 2020, 2030, what I would expect is to people to realize that they don't have to hold their private keys with them. They don't care about their private keys in the first place, right? Maybe devices, phones, and everything will have inbuilt things which comes with that. All those things, I'm not sure how. I'm just still speculating all those things. And there will be some services in top of that, similar to banks, which basically takes the custodies of things and do the things if you want. Only thing I would say is that maybe change would be the infrastructure which people won't realize and make everything faster, more cheaper. For example, loans and their assets and everything. Nowadays, take a longer time, but in the future, maybe those things will got very sorted in a way. And if you want to build some startups out of that, you can maybe use that directly without taking the permissions, all those things. But I'm still not sure how it would happen. like, obviously for that you need regulations and everything. So I think, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm still unclear on 2023, 2030 or beyond that. But I feel like what we need to solve is that, UX of people getting their assets and everything, and then slowly many things would change over the time.
And do you see you guys playing a role in that? Because obviously it's a different type of
Definitely.
network. The network launched a phone, right, recently. So should I get a Polygon phone coming up next year, or?
Funnily, like, I cannot say something, but I'm meeting someone who are in the phone market.
Oh,
yeah. But
I think he just pre-announced a Polygon phone, didn't he?
He did.
Well, it's not a Polygon
people
phone
are having babies now. They're having kittens. They're like,
it's like, so what? Fintech now, telcos.
It's very hard to build phone from scratch and the things you want. For example, what I would expect is from the Web3 phone company is to remove the Google dependencies and multiple other things, which is kind of not possible the way the whole Android is going. And if you want to change that, it'll takes a lot of resources, money, and time. And definitely there is maybe there are some things may start with the phone. For example, the UX we are talking about may start with the phone having a Web3 interface or Web3 inbuilt features. But if you want to put a lot of efforts in phone, like, maybe Polygon won't do it, but Polygon will partner with other phone companies to do that. So that's the thing.
JD, it's been a pleasure to have you with us today. Gaurav and I, it was a pleasure for both of us to have you, particularly as almost neighbors, not quite, but almost neighbors in Dubai. And it's been an amazing journey watching, obviously Gaurav has lived here much longer than me, but watching the takeoff in the last 2 years or so, when it comes to blockchain and crypto and Web3 in Dubai. I think the story is going to be fascinating. For a combination of reasons, not least of which the food and the proximity is definitely the Web3 capital of India. So thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you. And thank you, Gaurav, Ronit. Thank you very much.